All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Bright.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. All right. So welcome. This is our fourth edition of our tips and tricks, research tips and tricks. We'll quickly go to our presentation because we'll have quite a lot of things to cover today. So welcome, relax, and as I go through this, time permitting us, I will give you opportunity to ask questions. Otherwise, please keep putting them on the chat box as they come to your mind. We see how much of those we can attend to after the presentation. So welcome. Today, we will be looking at how to craft stand out. And what is meant by stand out here is a presentation that meets expectation of the occasion, of the topic, of the audience, and of the context. All right? It's not a competition. It is an opportunity to tell a story of what you have done as a scientist. So just for you to bear that in mind. My name is Bright Nwaru, and I am presenting this series on behalf of the African Science Frontiers Initiatives. Most of you have been with us as we go through our programs. So those who have been joining us, welcome back. Those who are joining us for the first time, you're welcome. And it is my confidence that this will not be your last time. We have lots of things for you. And I believe that you benefit from what we do in this platform. All right. I will start with this question. So I'll be looking at the chat box. I don't want anybody to speak. I just want you to write in the next 2 minutes, in your experience, which of this is the most difficult for you and why? Doing a PowerPoint presentation, doing an oral presentation, or doing a poster presentation. When I say PowerPoint presentation, I mean preparing a PowerPoint presentation. Oral presentation is presenting it before an audience. And a poster presentation is where you make a poster and you stand by a poster and you can tell people what you have done as scientists. So please put on the chat box in the next 2 minutes. I'll be timing it and we'll see what your experiences are. Which of this is the most difficult? And why is it the most difficult for you? Okay, let's keep bringing it. Yeah, I can see divergent viewpoint. I'm seeing divergent viewpoint. Poster presentation, however, seems to be the leading, most difficult one to do for most people. Wow. All right. Perhaps we have more of talkatives amongst us. That is a characteristics of the African, which is good. So oral presentation is not a problem for most people. Poster presentation. All right, let's see how much we can take that further. Let's see how much we can take that further. See if we can have some tips for you with regards to poster presentation. Okay. If you have followed our activities, SFI, one thing we emphasize is ensuring that what we do as scientists have relevance to the society. And if what you do as a scientist does not have relevance to the society, then it becomes a personal adventure. And science or research should not be a personal adventure. If you are into research, you're into science, it's not a personal adventure. We have gone through that in many of our courses we teach: reproducibility, systematic reviews, meta-analysis, grant writing, academic writing, and so on. Our previous presentations. And so the topic we are looking at today falls within the context of scientific communication. Scientific communication. It's called scientific communication because we communicate science. And there are other kinds of communications too. But we communicate science. And for every member of the society, science is a difficult adventure. That is the first impression the society has. So if you go out and you wear a lab coat, and you just, for instance, you enter the bus with your lab coat and you have maybe your microscope somewhere, or you have your telescope or whatever you call it, and you have it, but there is attention you draw. But if a pastor goes with a suit onto the bus, many people do not really care, because it's difficult to tell whether it's even if it's a pastor, the attention people give to scientists is based on the fact of how people think that science is very difficult. To an extent, it may be true. To an extent, it may not be true. Okay? But one thing is that regardless of the perception, we as scientists have a duty. We have a duty. We are in this world that has been created by God himself, and he has put many things for human survival. And when you are born into this world, your adventure begins when you are out of the womb. You begin to see things. You begin to imagine in your mind until you begin to speak. You begin to walk. You begin to experiment yourself things, you know. The question is, when you begin to become more advanced, as a scientist, where you do experiment, where you do clear systematic observations that ordinary people do not have the expertise to do, how can you tell your story? How can you tell your story? So scientific communication is very important aspect of what we do. And the goal is to clearly tell the story of scientific knowledge that has been generated, and telling this in a way that people can understand. You know, the man who is in front here, John F. Kennedy. And he says the only reason to give a speech is to change the world. And that is alluding to what I mentioned earlier. The only reason to be a scientist or do research is to change the world. And the only reason to communicate what you do is also to change the world. If we have not achieved that, then we have not achieved our goals. Our goals are to change our context, change our environment, change our field of research, change our society. For African scientists, my brothers and my sisters, we have a lot to do, because if you go across African universities, there is a trend that goes, many people pursue their career for personal gain, have promotion, get accolades, and so on and so forth. But the objective of being a scientist is to change the world. And we have a problem. If you see what is happening in the COVID context, you see that Africa lags behind and in many other places. So if we do not pursue our career to the extent that our objective never change, that is to change the world, then I think we are not meeting the goal set. All right, quickly, I will go through these three aspects: PowerPoint presentations, oral presentations, and poster presentations. And you know, this is tips and tricks. These are not courses here, tips and tricks. So give you some tips of things you can implement in your own research, in your own presentation to make it better. All right, the first tip of PowerPoint presentation is to know your audience. Know your audience. Who are you making the presentation for? Who are you making the presentation for? Some of you who have been following our courses, I tell of a project I'm leading here, where I am. And this project asks the question, what we do as research, I do research in the area of respiratory disease, allergy. Now I'm doing some research in COVID and so on and so forth. How much of the things we do are known by the general public? How much of the things we do are known by the general public? If we publish our papers, how do they know? Do they know anything? And the question, the answer is no, they don't know. And that is actually an injustice, because the society is the one that is contributing the data we are using. The cohort study I have here I'm using constitute about 43,000 adults. That's huge. And these people voluntarily are giving us data to do research. Beyond that, in this part of the world, the public contribute a lot to fund the research. How much do they know of our findings? How much do they know of what we do? They know little to none. And so that project is, how can we bring what we do to the attention of the public? How can we give back to them so that they can have some confidence? And somebody comes to say, wow, so this was what I contributed to. This is what you found. There is confidence that is raised here. And what happens is that eventually we are bridging a gap. And that gap is bringing the general public to what we do as scientists. This is quite crucial. And now, if I'm making presentation to this group of people, the public, the presentation will be different from when I'm making it to the scientist community. I remember when we started brainstorming on building this platform, we were trying to choose a name for this platform. And we sent a poll to fellow scientists in our place here, our university. And we had few names we have chosen. We have gone through some internal scrutiny and chosen some names, and we sent about 5 names and asked the scientists to vote which name they would prefer to have for such a platform. And they came back, they chose a name called Breathe Sweden. Breathe Sweden. They chose that. And now what we did was we formed a committee of general public who are not scientists. And we explained what we wanted to do to them, and they were excited because they want to be part of such kind of platform. And then we told them, we have a name we have chosen, Breathe Sweden. What do you think? They scrutinized this. Do you know what? Of the 5 names we gave to the scientists, Breathe Sweden was the one those from the general public disliked most. They disliked it. Wow, this was amazing. But what I learned from there is that there is a communication issue here. What we think as scientists is a reality. It's not a reality in the mind of the ordinary person. They see things differently. Okay? And so it's very important to know who is your audience. Who are they? Are they children? Are they adults? Are they politicians? Are they market women, market men? Are they bus drivers? Are they truck drivers? Is he a church? Is he a primary school? Is he a secondary school? It's very important. And I hope tip number 1 is you appreciate what is happening here. So don't take it for granted. Okay? Don't take it for granted. It's very important. The second tip is text. Text. The text you have in your presentation. The text you have in your presentation. Here, the tip is less is more. Less is more. Sometimes we think, as I mentioned earlier, Africans like to speak. And sometimes you give people time to speak. They speak double the time you have given them. Because many times we think that it is how much you speak that conveys your message. But when you make PowerPoint presentation to communicate effectively, less text is more. All right. Now, this is an example. This study was the study I used when I did my doctoral degree. You can see what is happening here. You can see this is a bad text in a PowerPoint. You irritate people. There's too much text here. All right. But this contains the same information in a summary way, and part of the information that is not contained from the previous one here, I can explain by myself to the audience. Okay. So I don't need to put everything there because I know what I'm presenting. So if I have some tips of the things I'm going to present, then I talk about them. This is better than the previous one. It's not the best. I can still reduce this. Okay. The point here is the less text you have in your presentation, the better, because as you go through your presentation, you want to keep the audience active. You want to keep the audience active. You want to retain attention to the end of your presentation. So make your text, and this is even much better. You see, the text before here, I am describing the population I am studying. That is what I'm describing. And here, I can use a figure to show it. And what happens with figures, there is a saying that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. That is true. What happens with figures is that when I present this, somebody who leaves this presentation at the end, we more likely remember the figure than the text. Okay, so figures will give you more engagement than the text. So Less is more in text, and of course, you can become innovative also using figures or graphics. All right. Text tips. Text tips: avoid large blocks of text. Too much text will distract your audience. Tell a story. Tell a story. Don't make your audience to glue on your slides. Let them also see how you're presenting. So present fewer texts and then speak and get the attention of your audience to yourself. Vary your text to emphasize points, and you can see what I'm doing here. This one is bigger than the ones here. Illustrations are powerful tools to complement your text. Apply the 166 rule where possible. And the 166 rule is what I've written here. Your PowerPoint presentation, each slide should contain one main idea, 6 bullet points, 6 words per bullet point. Okay? One main idea, 6 bullet points, 6 words per bullet point. Where possible, sometimes it's not always accurately possible. Approximately, you can aim around this. If it goes a little bit more or less, we can accommodate that, but don't make it too much. Color schemes. Tip number 3 for PowerPoint presentation: choose the right color. The right color combination can make a presentation a delight. Yeah, delight. As you can see, what I have in front of me here, I don't know what you see, but I can align with what is here. The rainbows here, the black color here, the white color in the black, the yellow color in the purple. This is good. This is good. Well, at least it can be better. Okay. Now look at what is here. These are bad color schemes. These are bad color schemes. This is irritating. Some people have problems with colors. Some people are colorblind. They call them. This can cause distraction. This is not a good color combination. This is better. Okay. White and black background and black and white background. They go together. Okay, you can make other choices, but the one I showed previously is not a good one. Color tips. Colors evoke feelings. Okay, colors evoke feelings. Colors are emotional. We are emotionally attached to them. So the right colors can help persuade and motivate your audience. And there's a rule that you shouldn't use more than 5 colors on each slide. Don't take colors that are too loud, make noise. Make it moderate, in which people can be emotionally attached, not irritated. Okay. Yeah, some colors fade into the background. Avoid those. And when you choose a color scheme, try to maintain it throughout your presentation. And as I go through this, you can see what is happening here as well. Of course, I am happy for you to give me your scrutiny. Okay. Yeah. So this is tip number 4, visual themes. You can have some pictures that increase your presentation. So please choose those carefully. You can see what is happening here. You can see this. This is in a black color background, and it presents the picture there clearly. We can see even some of the tiny things in that place. And this is an example. You can use visual schemes to support your presentation. And this helps in highlighting your text. This study is being done in which place. People can see based on this graph you have presented, people can see where the study is being done. And this study is, we call it a birth cohort, meaning that you have recruited people from pregnancy. They are born and you follow them into adulthood, and you can see this longitudinal trajectory of growth to show this. So visual schemes can be powerful to bring your audience to you and to help you really pass your message. When somebody leaves from here, from this presentation, and I'm talking about a longitudinal birth cohort study, with this figure, this is in the mind already, okay? All right, that goes into this graphics, pictures, charts. This should be tip number 5, I think so. Yeah, so graphics can enhance your presentation, and the audience are happy when you use them because it really helps them to align with what you're presenting, but keep it simple. Don't make it too much because it can really divert the attention of your audience. And there's a rule that you should use maximum of 3 graphics on a slide. All right, finally, animations and fonts. When I taught the grant writing course, we saw that some people actually did not get their grant. In fact, the grant was not reviewed because they use a different font from what the funders have asked for. And so you have to be careful when you use font in your presentation because it can be problematic as well. Animations, many times we use lots of animations that can be also distractions. Use them only when it is necessary, and choose your fonts well to be able to enhance visualization. You can see the font I have used here. I don't know how many of you are irritated by this font or like this font I've used here. All right, this is a bad type of animation. Look at what is happening here. Okay, when you touch this thing, your button here, it comes up. You see this one? Yeah. Goodness me. Yeah, I don't know how many of you have used that. You see, we use these things. This is not part of the those who develop these programs. They add lots of things to make us get excited. But really, when you are making a scientific presentation, it's not about excitement. It's about telling a story. And so some of these animations can become distractions, and you don't want to have such distractions in your presentation. All right, now this is a better animation, like this, point by point, like this, point by point, like this. Yeah, the goal is to communicate. The goal is to communicate. The goal is to tell a story. The goal is to keep your audience to you. The goal is not to distract. So animations can be distracting if not carefully selected. Now, about fonts, these are bad fonts. See this? This is a bad font. It's not good. This is a bad font. And this is a bad font. Okay? There are better ones. There are better ones you can use. It's not everything they have put in these programs that are useful. So you need to select carefully. This is a better one I'm using here. So I'm proud of that. And here are some suggestions of good fonts you can use in your presentation. Helvetica Garamond, Gil Sanins, Calibri, Arial, Rockwell, and Futura. These are good ones you can use from your PowerPoint presentation. All right, so that is on PowerPoint presentation. Please, if you have some thoughts, some questions, as I said earlier, put them on the chat box, and we can take as much as we can at the end. So let me go to oral presentations now. The first tip is coming back to the same thing again, when you're making a PowerPoint presentation, is to know the audience you will be talking to. Who are they? What is their demographics? I've said that earlier. What is their level of knowledge on the topic? What do you think they need from the topic? What do you think they should get from the topic? Okay, there is a difference between what the audience wants to get and what you want to give them. An audience may be expecting something that you don't have. All right? Or you may be giving the audience what the audience doesn't need. Between these two, there should be an alignment. And that alignment comes from communication. Now, if you send out information of that event, it should be sent in a way that the audience can understand what they are going to listen to. Don't make it complicated. And so that when they are coming, they will have expectations about the presentation. The expectations may not be perfect, but they have some expectation of what you are going to talk about. And when they come, don't jump away from your topic and begin to present something else. So knowing your audience and reaching that alignment that will satisfy their expectations is very, very important. So audience is very important. Number two, convey your excitement. Oh, goodness me. Some people, when they are standing before people presenting, you are looking at your time. When will they finish? This person should finish on time, because your presentation is you don't have the passion. There's no passion that somebody can see from your presentation. You may have a fantastic presentation, on the slide, but the way you communicate that can really weary people. So convey your excitement in what you have done. Sometimes you wake up in the morning and you have troubles, maybe from home and so on and so forth. And some people carry those troubles, anger, or whatever to their workplace, and they're presenting. And somebody's even asking you a question. You are reacting, not because the person has asked a wrong question, but because you are bringing their troubles from home or wherever into your context. That will bring lots of distraction. So convey your excitement. Let people know that you are passionate about what you're doing. You can use some humor. Personalize it. Use some personal experiences, some examples to pass the message you are giving to your audience. So excitement is important. All right, tell a story. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, is a story. This is a story. As the storytellers present their stories, that is how scientists should also have the mindset that you're telling a story of the world, what you have observed in the world. And if it's a story, then you need to have a structure. The opening part of the story, the body part of the story, and the ending part of the story. So there should be a context. You should be able to frame your problem, what the problem is you're trying to present, what you're trying to discuss. What are examples, solutions to those problems? And then you conclude. Okay, it's like the train driver, or you join the what's it called, the plane. You're traveling the air, or sometimes you have some buses where you go in and they tell you about the journey. A train will tell you this train is leaving from this station and going to this place. As it goes on, it will stop in different stations and gives name of those stations. And then it will tell you about what is in the train, restaurant, toilets, and so on and so forth. So this should be in that way. As an introduction, there is a direction, there is a problem, there is body part, and finally you conclude. All right. Tip number 4, keep it simple and clear. Keep your presentation simple and clear. Don't use too much field-specific jargon. Sometimes I know you can't avoid those jargons. You can't avoid those jargons. I always say when I teach on this platform that in my country, Nigeria, my home country, Nigeria, there is in the parliament this guy who was in the parliament. I don't think he's still there now. And this guy speaks English that after listening it, you would barely have headache, because I mean he's speaking right things, but he's speaking so much difficult things that his colleagues, some of them are hiding their head when he's vomiting these things. Very difficult to comprehend. In the end, you are there sitting to make policies that will change the life of people, and you speak 100 words and nobody understands one thing that you have presented. That is difficult. So remember, our goal is to change the society. And so our communication should be understood. Even though we have some difficult things we can say, but we should be understood. So if you have jargons, try to explain them, okay? Define them. Your goal is to communicate, not to confuse. Steve Jobs, we know the founder of Apple. Sometime he said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Listen to this, is the ultimate sophistication. It takes a lot of hard work to make something simple. And if you look at his product, they are so simple, but they are so sophisticated. The Apple products are sophisticated, but they are so simple, okay? To truly understand the underlying challenges and come up with elegant solutions, it takes a lot of hard work, okay? It's not just minimalism or the absence of clutter. It involves digging through the depth of complexity. To be truly simple, you have to go really deep. You have to deeply understand the essence of a product in order to be able to get rid of the parts that are not essential. And this is not easy. Believe you me, if you have communicated in these different shades, PowerPoint presentation, oral presentation, poster presentation, I tell you, simplicity is not a cup of tea. It's difficult, but that is what is required. And by the time you go through this discovery and invent simplicity to the complex topic you have, you discover that your knowledge of that topic has increased. You have aligned with it. And when you do that, you can see that you present it with very great passion. You can draw people close to you when you make it simple. So that is the fourth tip for your oral presentation. Speak simply, present it simply. All right, number 5, part 1, manage the stage and your audience. Manage it. It's good to practice before you go to present. Practice before you go to present. Don't go out and and start hammering. You may make mistake. So practice before you go to present. That gives you some confidence in doing what you want to do. Ensure when you get there that all equipment are working. Okay. Stand tall and straight when you're presenting. Don't go and lean or put your hand on your cheek, or go and sit down somewhere because your legs are aching. Stand straight tall because you want to catch the attention of the people. You want them to take something that you're passionate about home. Make eye contact with audience. Okay? Let your audience see you and see your audience. Move around if possible. Move around. Avoid reading from the screen. Oh no, I have gone to some presentation. Goodness me. And nowadays we have, as I'm speaking to you, I don't see you. I don't know what you're doing. And so if my presentation is boring, you know what will happen? Oh, some of you are in the kitchen. Some of you are in the kitchen watching the time. Some of you may go and do something else. Some of you may even start reading other things just to get the time pass by. But if I am presenting with enthusiasm, then it's easier. So when you read from the screen, you read word by word. I don't say don't read word because it's your text, but when you read word by word, then you give an impression that you have not mastered what you are presenting. All right. Use pointer only when necessary. This is the pointer. Use it only when necessary. Use it when you want to bring out an issue, when you want to guide the audience on certain aspect. Okay? Then speak with confidence. Part 2, pause to transit. Don't speak like a parrot. Pause. Use those kind of ingredients to capture the attention of your audience. Relax when you present. Smile. If you are nervous, take a deep breath. Or if you have a cup of water around you, take it to relax yourself. It is your story. It is your idea. It is your research. And so feel free and simple to communicate it, to relax and communicate it. Keep to the time. Africans, keep to the time. Keep to the time. I am happy to hear some of you when you say you should appraise what we do at the end of our courses. Some of you come to say that timekeeping, when you say time, you like that. Keep to the time. You make people to enjoy your presentation. When you say we are starting at this time, we are ending at this time, my speech is 20 minutes, is 15 minutes. Don't go and speak for 30 minutes. And then you say, I've passed my time. I didn't know. No, keep your time. Okay. If you don't know how to keep time, assign somebody to stand at the end of the audience to give you some signs. You have 10 minutes to go. The person shows you a sign. You have 5 minutes to go. The person shows you a sign. You have 1 minute to go. Keep to the time. The audience loves those who respect them with regards to the time. All right. Enjoy your presentation, of course, and acknowledge contributors to your work. This is important. Okay. Poster presentation. I give you some tips quickly for those who find poster presentation difficult. Let me give you tips. Now, the goal of the poster is just 1-page presentation of your research. 1 page. And if you put it in before you go and print it out, it should fit in an A4 size paper. And then, of course, when you print it, you can use the size the occasion demands. But when you're looking at it in your system, it should fit that. Now, what is the goal of the poster? The goal of the poster, usually in scientific meetings, is that some ideas or some topics do not meet, for instance, oral presentation, and then they can say you should present it as a poster. The poster aims to convey the most interesting or important findings from your work. It's not everything. The most important. The most important. Now, you make posters, you have conference call, you submit an abstract, and if they choose you for poster, you make a poster. Now, I have my students. One of them has this summer, he's going to conferences, and these conferences, he has submitted up to 10 posters. 6 of those posters came from one paper he will write. 6 of those posters came from one paper. So you can see a scientific paper may contain huge amount of data. A poster may contain very small amount of that. But those you think are most important, interesting to show to people. Okay? So when you construct your poster, knowing what the purpose is, the first thing you should do is to design a short title that can draw the interest of people. You combine text, you combine graphics in the poster, but the text should not be more than 500 words. If permitted, in some places, it is less. Okay? Your text should be clear and to the point. To the point. You have to review your poster again and ensure that you can make some changes and shorten some aspects. Use bullets, use numbers, use the headlines in the poster to highlight, draw the attention of people to your poster. Use graphics and color fonts effectively, as we have described before, and your layout should be consistent. Sometimes I see people who use different fonts in different places. Sometimes they are using right indented and left indented. Some places they use center and just mix the whole thing. That is not right. The course in writing we teach in SFI, we call it the art of scientific writing. And the course, when we start, one of the first things we have to discuss is scientific writing. Is it an art or science? Of course, for those who have not attended, the answer we all confidently arrive at is that scientific writing is both an art and science at the same time. Meaning you can be very artistic. You can bring that aspect of you when you design your poster. All right. Include acknowledgement, your name, and institutional affiliation when you design your poster. Look at this. Look at this. This is a poor poster. You see what is happening here? The color here of this text, the background color, background color of this one, the background color. This guy is confused. Look at this. Look at the title. Because you are looking at the stars, you make your title to be flying to the stars. No, it will confuse us. So this is a very poor one. Okay, full of text everywhere. Who will read this? Very tiny text. And this was presented in a scientific gathering. This is also a poor one. Okay, the texts are so small, less graphics. Graphics, you can't even figure out what they are. Okay, this is not good. But look at this one. All right, what do you see? It's looking better. It's not the perfect one, but it's looking better than the ones we saw before. The texts are readable. Okay. You have used figures. You're attracted to those figures. You want to know what they are. And of course, the color balance is better. This is another one too. These texts are not too much. I've used figures combined with text and better than the ones we have done before. All right, let me conclude and so that we can look at some of the questions you have asked. The goal is to communicate. That is the goal. The goal is to communicate. All right? Is to tell a story of what we do and telling it clearly. The aim is to be understood. The aim is to influence change. Simplicity is our watchword. We want people to understand what we do. We want people to comprehend. We want people to live and not forget. We want them to remember what we have taught, we have presented. All right, so the ingredient of your presentation is to enhance understanding of what you have done. So please practice this. It's not something that after this occasion you go and it works like magic. No, it doesn't work like that. It takes time to improve in these three aspects: poster presentation, oral presentation, and PowerPoint presentation. It takes time, but you can take a cue from here and practice more and more. There are many things on the internet, many descriptions, many papers people have written you can look for when you are making your presentation. All right, this is where I end. Just to remind you, if you have not registered for the seminar series on Sunday, we are looking at multidisciplinary research and Africa's development. This is an area we are interested as an organization to enhance multidisciplinary collaboration across Africa and Africans. So we have Dr. Olufunke Fayehun, who will be presenting this topic on Sunday. Please, if you have not registered, we have sent information to you, and Eman has posted it also on the chat box. Please register and endeavor to join us on Sunday. All right, let me see what you have here. Let's see what you have. We will not be able to answer everything. Yeah. Please, if you like to have the slide, just put your email on the chat box. We'll take them and send to you. Yeah, somebody is asking what might be the skills to develop to find a better knowledge keyword to a sentence and make it short. Read, and read. If you read more, you know more. Read more, and then you get more keywords from your reading. In terms of fonts, can we change the fonts along the presentation, or they must be uniform? If you have them uniform, they are better. Some fonts are similar to others. If the change is radical, it doesn't help your presentation. So if you can keep it uniform, that would be great. How many graphics? So we've said that 3 graphics on a slide maximum will be efficient. Okay, I've answered the issue of changing the font. How many references on a poster? Well, I wouldn't put so many references. 1 or 2 is enough. And those should be really, really unavoidable. If you can avoid them, you can work on that, because usually references will take space. But if you wish to include, don't include more than 2, so that you can maintain the sanity of the text. Yeah, there are some templates for poster presentation. General ones you can find online, but usually if you're going for events, conferences, they will usually give you a template of what they are looking at. And there's some conferences are really good, and they give you some details of those. All right. Yeah, this presentation will be posted on our YouTube channel once that is done. And if you have put your email here, we will send this to you as soon as possible. So put your email down there. All right, our time is up. And if you have more questions, you can send me email, and we can see how we can continue to communicate on that. All right. Eman, do you have anything to?
Thanks, Bright, for this interesting and eminent presentation. I think we should see the results during the presentation of future courses who will attend. I just remind everyone here to register for the next event, to keep following emails for future AS5 course announcements, and we welcome to respond to any discussion or any queries. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Eman. Our next presentation will be on the 24th of June, and that will be growing a world-class research group or research team. For those of you who are building your research group, how do you make them and grow them in an efficient way that they become globally competitive? So join us on the 24th of June, and I wish you a good weekend, and see you on Sunday. If you are able to join us. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Prof, and have a nice weekend to all.
Wish you the same.
Thank you, Prof. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Prof. Bye.
Thank you, Prof. Bye.
Oh, Professor Nwaru.
Bye, everyone.
Bye
Thank
to
you,
everyone. See you Sunday.
See you on Sunday.
Bye.